Hello everybody, I am back again. Today I decided to do another video. This video I'm going to be basically talking to y'all about like how I go with friendships, like how I navigate friendships at this point in my life, being, on the ways to my 30s, in comparison to back then, and the reasoning for it and how it affects me overall. This is going to be like friendship video. I want to do that, have a little talk time with y'all. Well, the reason why I'm saying this is because my birthday had passed basically, to the mid-ish end of last month in February. So basically, February is a shorter month, y'all. All right, I keep on saying all right, if I keep on saying all right, y'all need to tell me. Hope everyone's having a blessed and safe day, okay, too. So whenever, I guess, as a backstory, whenever I was like in my teens, I had different friend groups. I have my best friend, but I had different friend groups, and it would be big, then things would happen, dismantle and get small. That's probably just us growing up, literally. Then you would have like the individual, like, oh, you cling on to a friend for a little while, you cling on to a friend for a little while, and that's cool. You're kids, you're in school, you got a lot more to focus on, and that's whatever. But I think about year 1 and 2 out of high school, because my birthday is early in the year, so I was 18 for already, and then 19. Those years, it was a little confusing transitioning out of those types of friendships, because you don't really have that friend that you're gonna have that one-on-one for like 6 months or so because of classes anymore, and you don't really have those big groups because they, of course, fizzled out. So it was a little different for me, I just feel like, it was nothing back then, but now it's just literally like, like back then it felt like something. Now it's just like, okay, it's whatever. So you have to get used to that. But then on top of that, it's just kind of like, okay, the friends that you did keep past high school, back then you think that's so serious. Oh, we was able to make it all the way to the other side, and I guess it is technically, because you made it into adulthood, you made it to graduation, you made it probably your first job, first relationship, all that type of stuff. But it's really not as serious as you think later on, like at this point now. But it did mean a lot. So I feel like friendships is transitioned a lot when I go back and think about it now, but it's really not, been the biggest deal. By far the worst situation is whenever my other best friend passed away. That I can't take any of that back. Any friendship can end in any other way, and it literally is what it is over time. Because I got Christ, I got my family, and I got the friends who did stay. But that type of loss, I'm going on. I was 18 when that happened. I'm going to be 26. That's not, a thing that you're going to get over. So, and then outside of that, other things that hurt to me, I've only had one friendship where I'm kind of like, okay, that really genuinely did hurt when I lost them, like the next day and like through on, and even in the future, really did hurt. But it wasn't that, like, at the end of the day, it is what it is. Every other friendship, looking at it, at least being an adult, it literally, I almost feel like it was meant to be that way. You get in an argument, you get in a disagreement or things like that, disrespect happens, that's just too much. You gotta just break off, and instead of just falling back, which those are two different things. I'm gonna give you a short backstory on that. Breaking off is like whenever you go through some sort of major change with that friend or friends, and there's just no way to really puzzle a way out of that. Falling back is like you and your friend or friends had like disagreements, had changed ways and changed things, and you just need to take some time so you can figure out you, they can figure out them, and at some point again we'll find a way to be back together. Some people, I noticed there was a lot more breaking off in the earlier years because it is a lot more people and there's just a lot more that happens, The breaking off back then though was kind of like it was meant to be, literally. I believe it's all meant to be, but it was like a good break, like please let's let that end, minus an exception of maybe 1 or 2 friendships, maybe 2. Everybody else, it just fell back. I feel like this last year though, my thing that I've really realized is the biggest thing with me is people having change. You know, you like the change that's happened with your friends. And more than anything, you know, thank you God, there's not been losses in that way, and there really hasn't been any breaking off, because you kind of matured to a point where you're not even gonna bring anybody in. But it's the change where it's like there wasn't an argument, there wasn't a problem, there wasn't this bad day, which you would think in the past, but there was a, I don't know how to say it. There was a, we just had to go different ways. It wasn't meeting the ends, it wasn't sticking. So, you know, that, I think I had to get used to that type of friendship, you know, in the past like year or 2. And I had to get used to the fact, one of my hardest lessons I really had to get used to is sometimes when people like do that, or like sometimes when people really just like fall back from their positions, like not to take that in a personal way. I used to take so much in a personal way until about early this year, like, oh, they don't text me as much anymore, they don't call me as much anymore, we're not planning hangouts, we're not planning girls trips, we're not talking about deep stuff anymore. Oh, I see them hanging out with other people, I see them smiling over there. I used to take that so personally, but looking back at it now, that is one kind of weirdo energy too. I just realized that like that's what people do, and if I'm a true friend, I can't just go out of my way and let them, you know, I guess you would say, go out of my way and want them to be miserable, because I have to think of stuff like that. You want them to be miserable just because you two are not hanging out anymore, and so happen next Saturday they go hang out with somebody else and have a good time. You should want your friend to have that good time. You should want your friend to have still a life. Yes, if you're going out of your way to neglect somebody, that's 1000% wrong. You should not be doing that. And you're going out your way to disrespect someone, 1000% wrong. But we knew that from the past. You know, my thing is sometimes people just like fall back, you know, and that's what I noticed. Some people are just falling back, you know, and it don't even have to be an argument. It don't have to be on some disrespect or anything like that. It just so happened to be that, you know, we just weren't gliding, we weren't mending at that time. And back then, my 19-year-old head would have never understood that. My 19-year-old head would have literally been like, oh, we gotta break off. You want to do this, we gotta stop being friends entirely. You're an up now, like you're literally wrong to me, you know. And that's not the issue, you know, that's not the thing. It's just literally like things just happen, and they don't necessarily have to move away, get married, or have a baby to do that. You know, they don't have to go off to university or find a new job that's far away. You know, they don't have to do any of those things. Someone in their family does not have to die. Somebody in their family does not have to, just convince them otherwise, that y'all are not good. Their other friends don't have to convince them. Sometimes people just naturally just do their own thing. Just that's how it is with things going on in their life. And they don't even have to be incredibly busy. They just can just literally be like, okay, we did what we did. I also realized somebody had said recently too, like a friendship that's built off of trauma is not a friendship. That's just somebody who's able to fume your flames. So, you have to kind of check into that too. Another thing I've been doing since I was 19 was going on huge unadding sprees, this, that, and sprees. And it wasn't until maybe the very last time I unadded people, I realized I don't necessarily have to block somebody just because we're not friends anymore. When I block somebody because I felt like you were doing weird things, or even was doing some weird things, I could just simply unadd you. I just call it a day. It is what it is. I don't need the whole world to know. I don't need this big old discussion. I don't need all that. I can literally just be like, oh, I unadd you. I release you from my life. I release you from my path. you know, call it a day. It doesn't have to be this big old thing. The same way as you probably were already doing that before with your actions, I'm just confirming it there. But I don't need it to be dramatic. I don't need it to be disrespectful, because in fact, in the future, whenever I potentially see these people again multiple times, I'm making it a peaceful transition versus this big old dramatic thing. Now we got to be avoiding each other. Like, that's childish. Like, at this point, I'm simply just too old to be doing stuff like that, you know, just as, oh, we're not going to be, you know. So I noticed that. And then also too, you know, like, what got us to that point where we got to do these things? Like, if it's a simple, like I'm saying, natural, that's cool and all, but there's got to be self-accountability too. Like, it can't just be all, oh, they don't hang out with me, did you hang out with them? Oh, they don't make plans, did you make plans? Oh, you know, there's a lot of things that you have to, like, you know, put into it too. It's not just one and on, because if that's the point, it was all because you rely on them, then they had a valid reason to go. You're putting too much weight on them, putting too much trauma on them, putting too much baggage or anything you want to claim on them. So I would say it just really depends on a lot of factors. Friendships simply do fall off. New friendships do come. And then sometimes as you're getting older, you get more diverse friendships. Diverse in ages, diverse in race, diverse in even maybe numbers, or like where you're from and this, that, and the other. And those are the type of friendships you can't necessarily do in school, you know, as a kid, you know. So I think it's like meant to be that way, you know. Certain people fall off, and then it's just time, like, you know. Another reason why, I guess I'll tell you why I do an adding sprees, and I've been actually doing those since I was younger, is like, you know, my mom always kind of like taught me about, like, you know, not just having so many people in your business, but on top of that, just like, well, if they don't go out of your way to help you and the obvious stuff, you know, then what's the point of you doing, you know, this, that, and the other for them? So that's the difference, you know. When I say, like, to an extent, if your friend or friends or whoever doesn't, or however much time or for whatever reasoning, doesn't do the common basic things for you, then you need to let them go. It is what it is, you know. That's honestly the basic common things. That's a break off, you know. Certain things are a break off, certain things are a fallback, and I truly believe that. You know, like, your birthday comes around but once a year, and, you know, your friends don't even tell you happy birthday, like, tell you happy birthday. I don't mean money, I don't mean gifts, I don't mean that, because not everybody's in that financial standpoint, but literally doesn't get on the phone and tells you happy birthday, yet they can go out of their way to make other posts. That is, to me, is a break off. And that is what I've been kind of using as my example since I was 19 years old. If my birthday comes around, and my whole birthday comes around, you have it all year, and you know me. And I'm not talking about people who only been my friends since 2 months prior, but I'm talking about, you know, which, to be honest, there's really not that much excuse for at least telling you happy birthday. But I'm talking about especially people who've been around for a year. We've seen each other for a year, and you claim a lot of things. The birthday comes around, and you can't even say happy birthday. That is very, very, very weird behavior all around. Just up, down, side to side. Like, there's no negotiating that. There's nothing about that. I mean, you know, so I kind of take that as a sense, like, hey, you can't do the simplest thing, you can't do the most basic thing, then that's where we are. That's where we stand at this point, you know. Call it a day. You know, if somebody goes to the hospital, you don't even send so much as a prayer hands. You don't send so much as I'm, you know, sending you thoughts and condolences and prayers and love. You don't do so much as that. You don't slide up, you don't make a phone call, anything like that. That's a sign already right there. You know, that's a good sign right there, because that's in a time of need, and you're not even doing the simplest thing. There you go. Then on top of that, you know, especially like if somebody's going through a mental type of issue. I know there's not a lot we can do. If your friend got in a car accident, you may not necessarily have the money, or they're at a hospital far away, you may not be able to see them, things like that. I completely understand. Asking people for like GoFundMe money is a little bit of a touchy thing, especially nowadays with this economy. But in the sense, if you got a cell phone where you can post memes and you can post about, that failing relationship, you should also be able to help and, your friend out in a time of need. If you can post about that little business that hasn't been going anywhere, but your friend has been helping you, you should be able to, help. So, by at least saying something that you care, I'm so sorry. I just want to be sassy. But no, for real, like on a real basis, if you can go out of your way to do your own things and your friend in a time of need doesn't even get the basics, the simple things, then what do you expect with somebody breaking off? And that's what I go by. Hey, my birthday done rolled over. That's a whole year for some of y'all. Y'all probably already been here for previous years. And you don't send so much as a happy birthday. You don't send so much of there's very rare instances I can say you may not say happy birthday if you're Jehovah's Witness, or you're literally in the hospital, or you're going through a major thing within that time frame-ish yourself. Then that is some exceptions. I'm not going to be that person like, oh, what do you, but if you're just literally regular doing regular things, even regular normal things like that does show a lot in your character and what you hold. So it's not, there is a couple of exceptions, if there is, and I never want to sound like it's just one or other, but the birthday is a good indicator for me right there, because that's literally telling somebody a positive wish. That's not money, that's barely time, that's not anything to, that's not going to your way, that's not even going to a party or something. That's literally just saying it, to somebody, so you can put a little smile on your face, maybe even for saying it, put a smile on their face. They feel appreciated in there. I always kind of take that as my little indicators. So I think that's kind of a thing. I don't get mad at the people whenever we fall off, because that's literally a part of life, but it does upset me when I have to break off from somebody who I genuinely cared about. When we were younger, friendships ended because of arguments and rumors and stuff like that, or betrayal and stuff like that, the big things. But now that we're adults, we don't necessarily do those things anymore, because we don't want those things. We're not of that way, we don't live of that way. But now it's more the sense of, okay, is this neglect? Like, disrespect can always happen, but is this neglect now? What is this? Is this secret animosity, which I'm not looking for. No one should go out of their way to look for that, because one, I believe that builds paranoia, and two, it's a waste of your time. You may mix up and get the wrong person. Some people's personalities is the type of personality where they don't want to talk as much. They don't want to hang out as much. They don't want to do that, and that's literally within them, or they change to that, because we're at an age where we change. So I don't like to look for the wrong. I like to do right, and the wrong will expose itself, and from there, so yeah, I will say this: a friend that you may get it, a friend who does not care is the worst friend of all, I believe, because when you do not care, you don't care what happens to them. And when you have a lack of caring for someone that you supposedly love, to me, that shows me you have a lack of love for yourself, But a friend who does not care is the worst thing, because they don't care. When you don't care about somebody who's doing right by you, you do not care for yourself. And I hate to say that, but that's an unpopular opinion. But if you do not love yourself and you are not healed, you do not need to be making friends or being in a relationship. You need to focus on healing, and that's the thing, because what are you building a friendship off of? Are you building your friendship off of trauma bonds, or are you building your friendship to actually be sustainable and to be able to grow. You can't go through trauma forever. It's like when they say like being mad, you can't necessarily be mad forever. Your body will not let you be mad forever. Like that severe type of like, ooh, shaking anger, your body cannot let you do that. It will not, your body, you'll get sick. So basically, you know, really like if somebody doesn't care, there's nothing really you can do about that. That's always been kind of my thing. You can't make somebody care, you know. You can't. That's within them to care, you know. Even you telling them right and doing what's right about you, that's the right thing. Yes, you know, I believe that is the right thing to do, what's right, but that's still, they have a free will. So a friend that does not care, that is an absolute no for me. I don't waste my time anymore at this point. Once I see it's obvious, I see it's obvious. But yeah, that's kind of my thing, you know. I use my birthday as like a marker for people who've been my friend for at least a year. Hey, okay, you know, what's going on, you know. And I'm not talking about associates and people that you worked with at a job. People that I work with at a job are, you know, like you would say, friendly strangers, you know. I don't expect a lot from them. And that was another thing younger me would have. Like, oh, we talk day and day and we're nice to each other at work. Then why couldn't you do this outside of work? That's not how that simply works. You know, that's not how it is. Like, that person is friendly. The person does not hate you or anything like that. And I bet if you see them at a grocery store, they'll probably be nice to you too, that same nice type of way as they would at work. But that person is simply not your friend, you know. Y'all are associates, y'all are friendly, y'all, you know, they'll wish the best for you. Heck, they may even love you, but they're not your friend. That's the thing. Typically you have to actually officially make that into a friend. My homegirl that I met when I worked at a fast food restaurant for 3 years, that was a coworker who became a friend. But the thing is, whenever other people can just simply be coworkers, simply, I guess you would say, friendly strangers, you know. And I, you know, that's another thing I matured from, being able to differentiate, because I would just wholeheartedly just get on there and just be blocking people for that. And it wasn't necessarily that deep to block. It was more just like, okay, I can unadd you because, you know, hey, we're not necessarily coworkers anymore. We're probably not going to see each other anymore. There's really not too much for us to say to each other. That's one thing. If I wanted to unadd, okay, it is what it is. But to block and have animosity, I feel like that's, you know, not it. There is some people I will most certainly block. People I used to date, I will block. People, you know, who did end with disrespect, you will be blocked. You know, it is what it is. That's the nicest thing I feel I can do, is to literally make sure we are not around each other's path. And that what helps me, like, hey, get to the point. If I do see you at a store, I'm like, oh, okay, it's just them, you know. But if I keep you around, I don't like to do that. As a Christian, I forgive. I have to forgive. And I feel like just keeping yourself submersed in negativity, you know, it's just submerged. Excuse me. That is not a word. You hear me? Submerged. I said submerse. What's that? You know, that negativity that I don't want to do. I'm not. So, you know, but other people, okay. Oh, okay, I just an ad, you know. The only time I would maybe see, like, okay, I may have to like eventually do the block, and it is if they keep on trying to add you back, like, and they make it to the point it's like that. But you know, usually most people don't do that. That's another part of maturity. There's a lot of parts into maturity. Sometimes people should be able to just take, you know, what they see. But that usually does not happen anymore at this point. So yeah, that's kind of how I go with friendships. Falling, you know, the difference between falling back and breaking off. I use my birthday as like a time indicator. Things I've matured from, you know, and stuff like that, and so forth and so on. But I just wanted to give y'all a little video of me talking about that, and what I do, what I probably shouldn't do, what I have done, you know, who is who and who's not, you know. Just want to give y'all a little video. But I hope everyone has a blessed day. In Jesus' name, y'all be safe. You know, drink y'all some water. And if y'all can get into some vitamins, I would definitely say I've been taking vitamins technically since the 24th, but the 26th was the day I finally got the 2. Definitely get into some vitamins, you know. They got a little bit of everything that you need, just a little bit. So, you know, to get your health right. And, you know, of course, I'm not a doctor. You know, just give it a little bit of time for them to work. They're not going to work right away. Anytime somebody tries to give you medicine or some sort of things and they say it's like a right away instant results, that's a sign it's not going to work. Probably at all now. But yeah, I hope everyone has an excellent day, and please take care. And I love y'all, you know, and I do wish the best for y'all. Talk to y'all soon.